British soldiers in World War II carried nearly everything they owned into some of the most brutal conditions in human history. Let's go through every single item, piece by piece, and see exactly what that looked like. We start with the Lee-Enfield No. 4 Mark I rifle. This bolt-action rifle, chambered in .303 British, held 10 rounds, and a trained soldier could fire 15 aimed rounds per minute, a feat known as the Mad Minute. Accurate, reliable, and 9 pounds of pure infantry backbone. Next we have the Enfield No. 2 Mark I revolver. This double-action 6-shot revolver, chambered in .38, Smith & Wesson, weighed just under 2 pounds and was issued to officers and tank crews. Not exactly terrifying, but it got the job done. Moving on to the Sten Mark II submachine gun. Chambered in 9mm, fed from a 32-round side-mounted magazine with a cyclic rate of 550 rounds per minute, and it cost just over £2 to manufacture. Cheap, brutal, and effective at close range. Next, we have the Bren Mark I light machine gun. This gas-operated machine gun fired .303 from a curved 30-round top magazine at around 500 rounds per minute with exceptional accuracy for its class. Widely considered one of the finest light machine guns of the entire war. Let's continue with the Mills Bomb, No. 36 M grenade. This cast iron fragmentation grenade weighed 1.6 pounds, had a 4-second fuse, and threw jagged fragments across a lethal radius of 10 yards. First used in World War I and still going strong in World War II, because some things just work. We have the No. 69 Bakelite grenade, a concussion grenade made from Bakelite plastic, armed automatically in flight by an unwinding linen tape, designed to deliver blast rather than fragmentation. Issued for close quarters fighting, where shrapnel would be as dangerous to the thrower as the enemy. Next is the No. 77 White Phosphorus grenade. Filled with white phosphorus that ignites on contact with oxygen and burns above 800 degrees Celsius, it was primarily used to generate dense white smoke for screening troop movements. Soldiers handled it with extreme care and zero casual attitude. Let's talk about the Patton 1907 sword bayonet. A 17-inch blade with a total length of nearly 22 inches, designed to fit the Lee-Enfield and convert it into a close quarters weapon. When not fixed to the rifle, it served as a utility blade, because a 17-inch knife has obvious applications. Next, we have the Fairbairn-Sykes fighting knife. A double-edged stiletto with a 7.5-inch blade, designed specifically for silent, close quarters killing by 2 former Shanghai police officers with genuine street experience. Issued to commandos and special forces, it remains one of the most iconic fighting knives ever made. Moving on to the Mark II Brodie steel helmet. Pressed steel, 2.5 pounds, designed to protect against overhead shrapnel and shell fragments rather than direct bullet strikes. Simple and unglamorous, it saved tens of thousands of lives. We have the Battle Dress Blouse Mark II. This short khaki wool serge jacket, introduced in 1940, replaced the longer service tunic with a practical, fitted design suited to modern warfare. Warm, durable, and sufficiently uncomfortable to remind you this was not a luxury arrangement. Next, we have the Battle Dress Trousers. Matching khaki wool serge, worn with belt and braces, featuring cargo pockets for field utility. Together with the blouse, they formed the iconic look of the British infantryman throughout the war. Let's continue with the greatcoat. A heavy knee-length wool overcoat weighing 7 to 8 pounds, issued for cold weather operations. Soldiers in Italy and Northwest Europe were grateful for it. Soldiers in the North African desert were less enthusiastic about every decision that put it in their kit. We have the Field Service Cap. The lightweight khaki side cap, affectionately called the chip bag, worn when the steel helmet was not required. It folded flat, tucked anywhere, and asked nothing of the man wearing it. Next is the Ammunition Boots Mark III. Heavy studded leather ankle boots, known as ammo boots, weighing 4.5 pounds per pair, built for rough terrain and a lifetime of polishing on parade. The polishing tradition continues to baffle new recruits to this day. Moving on to the Anklets Web Gaiters. Khaki webbing anklets worn over the boot tops and fastened with a buckle, designed to keep mud and debris out of the boots. Standard across virtually every operational environment. Let's talk about the pattern 1937 webbing set. Designed by Mills Equipment, this load-bearing system, made from rot-resistant woven cotton, replaced the older pattern 1908 and comprised the belt, braces, pouches, haversack and large pack. A genuinely well-engineered system that formed the backbone of British personal equipment throughout the war. We have the large pack backpack, the primary canvas load carrier for spare kit, clothing and non-essential equipment, attached to the rear of the webbing belt, left at a collection point before assaults because nobody fights better with a large backpack on their back. Next we have the small pack haversack, smaller canvas pack carrying immediate necessities, wearable independently without the large pack, the practical equivalent of today's assault pack. Let's continue with the basic ammunition pouches, 2 of them. Each web pouch held 75 rounds of .303 in stripper clips, giving 150 rounds of accessible ammunition on the belt. Given that a trained soldier could empty the rifle magazine in under a minute, that number felt smaller in practice than it sounds on paper. We have the brace straps, web suspenders running from the front pouches over the shoulders to the rear belt, distributing the full weight of the loaded webbing across the body. Without them, the whole system sagged into misery on every march. Next is the bayonet frog, a simple web carrier on the left hip holding the bayonet scabbard securely in place during movement. The kind of item nobody notices until it is gone. Moving on to the water bottle Mark VI canteen, an aluminium 1-pint bottle in a web carrier attached to the right side of the belt. 1 pint in the heat of North Africa or the jungles of Burma is an amount that can only be called optimistic. Let's talk about the mess tin Mark I, 2-part aluminium tin that nested together, used for both cooking and eating in the field. Lightweight, practical and reliably effective at burning fingers. We have the composite ration pack, designed to feed 14 men for 1 day. The compo box contained canned meats, hardtack biscuits, tea, sugar, condensed milk, boiled sweets and cigarettes. The cigarette inclusion was perfectly normal in 1942, which tells you a great deal about 1942. Next we have the emergency ration tin, a sealed tin of concentrated high-calorie emergency food, not to be opened without an officer's permission. Soldiers carried it and were mostly trusted to leave it alone, which is a bold institutional assumption during a war. Let's continue with the hexamine fuel tablet cooker, a small folding metal stove burning solid hexamine tablets to produce a clean, nearly smokeless flame for heating food and water. Known as the Tommy cooker, it made a hot cup of tea possible in almost any conditions, which for a British soldier was a genuine operational requirement. We have the field dressing first aid packet, a sterile gauze pad and bandage in a waterproof wrapper, carried in a dedicated pocket inside the battle dress blouse. Designed so any nearby soldier could grab a wounded man's own dressing and apply it without burning through their own supply. Next is the shell dressing large bandage, a larger wound dressing with generous gauze and long bandage tails for serious injuries caused by shell fragments. In the absence of a medic, it was the difference between a man bleeding out and a man surviving. Moving on to the Morphine Syrette, a single-use metal Syrette containing 1/4 grain of morphine tartrate used for emergency pain relief in the field. After use, it was pinned to the casualty's collar so treating medics would know morphine had already been given, a small and sobering piece of kit. Let's talk about the quinine tablets. Issued as anti-malarial prophylaxis for tropical theatres including North Africa, the Middle East and Southeast Asia, later largely replaced by mepecrine, which worked better but turned the skin noticeably yellow. Soldiers preferred not turning yellow, but malaria was considerably worse. We have the housewife sewing kit. Called the hussif, this small rolled cloth pouch held needles, thread, spare buttons and safety pins for field uniform repairs. A torn pocket might seem trivial, but in a cold, wet field, functional kit is serious business. Next we have the entrenching tool handle. The wooden half of the two-piece entrenching tool set, essentially useless on its own, but critical when combined with the head. The ability to dig fast in the field was the difference between cover and exposure. Let's continue with the entrenching tool head. The steel blade and pick head, that combined with the handle to form a compact digging tool for trenches and fighting positions. Digging a proper slit trench in hard ground with this was exhausting work that every infantryman knew well. We have the gas mask Mark IV respirator. The general service respirator, designed to protect against mustard gas and other chemical agents, carried in a canvas haversack worn on the chest when gas attack was possible. The British Army maintained rigorous chemical warfare preparedness throughout the entire conflict. Next is the gas cape, a lightweight rubberized oilskin cape folded into a small packet, worn as additional protection against blister agents that could penetrate standard clothing. One of those items soldiers hoped with deep sincerity they would never actually deploy. Moving on to the ground sheet poncho, a rubberized cotton sheet weighing around 2 pounds, used as a waterproof ground covering, a rain poncho, or a general field tarpaulin. In the mud of Italy and the rain of northwest Europe, it earned its place in the kit many times over. Let's talk about the shelter half. 2 ground sheets buttoned together along their edges to form a small bivouac shelter for 2 men. Not glamorous, not particularly waterproof in heavy rain, but significantly better than sleeping in the open. We have the blanket. Standard issue heavy wool blanket, approximately 4 pounds, used for warmth in the field, inside shelters, and wrapped around boots for insulation. Soldiers complained about the weight constantly, and were quietly desperate to keep it. Next we have the Compass Mark III, the liquid-filled prismatic compass Mark III, featuring a prism sight for accurate bearing taking and a luminous dial for low-light use. Navigation kept British forces moving in the right direction, and this compass did the job. Let's continue with the identity discs, 2 of them. 2 compressed fibre discs stamped with name, service number and religion. The red octagonal disc stayed with the body, the green circular disc was recovered to record the casualty. Grim in concept and absolutely essential in practice. We have the paybook, Army Book 64. The soldier's personal identity document and pay record, carried at all times, containing photograph, personal details, next of kin and service history. Losing it was a serious disciplinary offence, which seems harsh given everything else a soldier was managing. Next is the jackknife, standard issue folding utility knife used for cutting food, cord and anything else requiring a blade in daily field life. It went into a pocket on day 1 and never left until the war was over. Moving on to the torch with blackout cover, a standard electric torch fitted with a cover restricting output to a narrow slit, allowing use without revealing position to enemy aircraft or observers. Soldiers navigated, read maps, and worked in near total darkness with that single sliver of light. And finally, we have the signal flare, carried in small numbers for tactical communication, including position marking, target indication, and unit-to-unit signalling in red, green, and white. In the noise and chaos of combat, a flare was sometimes the only message that got through. That is the complete kit of a World War II British soldier. 30 to 40 kilograms, every single day, in every condition imaginable. Like and subscribe for more history like this.